I thought buying my dream RV would be the start of something good. Weekend trips, road adventures, maybe even a little freedom, after years of grinding at work. But the first time my neighbor opened her mouth, she made it clear she wasn't going to let me enjoy any of it. She didn't say hello or welcome to the block, or even give me one of those fake suburban smiles. No, she came out swinging with you people and your trashy junk. This isn't a trailer park. And just like that, I knew I had a war on my hands. That Saturday morning was supposed to be calm. I was standing on my porch, sipping coffee, just staring at my brand new 32-foot motorhome sitting in the driveway. It wasn't just a vehicle, it was years of sacrifice, late nights at my desk, building my software company weekends. I skipped out on fun just to save. That RV was my payoff, my slice of freedom. And then out of nowhere, I heard the rumble of a diesel engine. I looked up and my heart fell straight into my shoes. A massive tow truck was backing into my driveway, yellow lights flashing, the driver already hooking chains onto the front axle of my RV. For a second, I thought maybe I was hallucinating. Paid in cash. How could it be repossessed, perfectly legal in the driveway? Checked every city ordinance before I ever bought the house. And then I saw her, the woman across the street, late 60s, blonde hair sprayed into a helmet that could survive a tornado, draped in a ridiculous cheetah print jacket over sweatpants, barking at the tow driver like she owned him. She had that smug look on her face, arms folded tight, and that's when I snapped out of my shock. I put my mug down, walked over to the driver and asked, "What's going on here? This is my vehicle." The guy just shrugged, eyes tired like he hated being in the middle. Lady called it in, said it was abandoned, blocking her view. Blocking her view from across the street. I turned to her, and that's when she screamed again. "You people and your ghetto junk!" The venom in her voice made my skin crawl. I tried to keep my voice level, told her she needed to tell the man to unhook my property right now. She laughed, this high-pitched shriek that made the hairs on my neck rise. "Oh, I don't need to do anything. Police are already on their way. They'll deal with thieves like you." I looked back at the driver. He looked caught, half-hooked. The RV half not, like he was stalling until someone else took responsibility. And then the cruisers rolled up. Two cops stepped out, one young, fresh-faced, all business, the other older, mustache gut, pushing at the buttons of his shirt, looking annoyed before he even opened his mouth. The Cheetah Queen's whole act flipped instantly, and she was trembling, clutching her chest, telling them I'd threatened her, that I'd rolled in during the night like some dangerous intruder. And just like that, I wasn't the homeowner with a brand new RV. I was a suspect standing in my own driveway. Mustache officer eyed me like I'd already done something wrong, hand close to his weapon, while the young one asked questions. I pointed at the RV at my house, said it was mine. Proof. Mustache barked like I was wasting his time. Proof. Meanwhile, she hadn't shown them a single thing. So I went inside, grabbed the thick folder with the bill of sale, registration, insurance card, my license, all of it. Handed it to the younger cop, who calmly compared VIN numbers, paperwork, and said, "Everything matches. Pam," because by then I'd learned her name was Pam, started shrieking about forged papers, criminals, drug money. And Mustache actually nodded like maybe she had a point. I was boiling inside, but the younger cop finally shut it down, told the tow driver to unhook the RV because it wasn't an authorized tow. The driver looked like he'd just been handed a ticket out of hell, scrambled to unhook, and left. Pam lost it, threatening to call the chief, swearing I'd regret this. She stormed back into her house door, slamming like a declaration of war. I thought maybe that was the end of it, but a week later, a crisp white envelope from the HOA showed up in my mailbox. 3 violations, oversized vehicle nuisance, and this one killed me, commercial vehicle. They twisted the rules into knots, trying to paint my motorhome as some illegal business operation. And wouldn't you know it, the HOA president was Gary Pam's best buddy, who lived right next door to her. It wasn't random, it was a coordinated attack. I spent that whole weekend turning my dining table into a war room. Highlighters, sticky notes, measuring tape photos, state law printouts, the whole 9 yards. Every one of their claims I dismantled. Vehicle size I measured nowhere near the sidewalk. Bylaws didn't even apply to private driveways. Nuisance RV was brand new, no noise, no leaks, no rust. I had time-stamped pictures to prove it. Commercial. The state definition of a commercial vehicle didn't apply in a million years. I put together a 10-page rebuttal and mailed it certified so they couldn't pretend they didn't see it. But I wasn't going to stop at paperwork. I showed up to the quarterly HOA meeting with copies for everyone. Room full of bored neighbors until I walked up to that podium folder in hand. Calmly, I went point by point, handing out photos, reading bylaws. People perked up fast. And then Pam lost her temper, jumped up, shouting that I was one of them, that I was ruining the neighborhood. She said the quiet part out loud, all the prejudice laid bare under the fluorescent lights. The room went silent. Even the other board members stared at her in shock. And then Mr. Cantina, this older neighbor from down the block, stood up and backed me. Said he'd witnessed her screaming slurs at me and calling the tow truck. Said it was a personal vendetta. That was the nail in the coffin. The board had no choice. They rescinded the violations on the spot. For a few days, it was quiet. Too quiet. Pam stopped screaming, but then the little things started, trash tossed in my yard, packages, marked undeliverable hot dog chunks laced with some kind of poison, tossed near my dog's fence. I installed cameras everywhere, high-def night vision, full perimeter. Best decision I ever made, because one night around midnight, motion alert pinged my phone. I pulled up the feed and there she was, Pam herself, cheetah jacket glowing under the night vision, crouching next to my RV tires with a nail in her hand. The hiss of air leaving my brand new tires echoed in the recording like music. I had her. Next morning, I didn't call the non-emergency line, I called 911. Officer by the book showed up, the same young guy from before, and when I showed him the video, his jaw clenched. He asked if I wanted to press charges. I didn't hesitate, absolutely. 10 minutes later, Pam was in cuffs, hauled off for vandalism. Watching her ride away in the back of a cruiser was the sweetest moment I'd had in months. But I wasn't done. I hired a lawyer, sharp woman named Davis. She filed for a restraining order, which was granted immediately. Pam couldn't come within 100 yards of me or my property. Since she lived right across the street, it turned her daily routine into a nightmare. On top of that, we sued her civilly, damages for the tires, the camera's legal fees, and $50,000 in punitive damages for harassment. The deposition was brutal. Davis played the video of Pam slashing my tires right there in the conference room. Pam squirmed, tried to blame me, but under oath she admitted it was her. Her lawyer nearly melted into his chair. A few weeks later, they offered a settlement, everything I asked for, plus $25,000, plus a permanent restraining order, plus a written apology. And she had to plead guilty in criminal court, sentenced to probation, community service, and anger management. A month later, a for sale sign popped up in her yard. Moving trucks came, and Pam, the self-appointed queen of the block, was dethroned. Watching that truck drive off felt like the true ending, the final chapter. When I finally packed my RV and set off for the Grand Canyon, Buddy riding shotgun and Mr. Cantina waving from his porch, I felt lighter than I had in years. I'd fought for my dream, for my home, for my peace, and I'd won. But here's the thing, as sweet as victory felt, I can't help but think about how many others she must have bullied into silence before me. How many people just gave in, sold their things, backed down. So I'll leave you with this. Was I right to fight her all the way, to drag every ugly detail into the open until she had no power left? Or was it overkill? Should I have just ignored her and kept to myself? Let me know what you think down in the comments, because in neighborhoods like this, the line between standing up for yourself and starting a war can get blurry real fast. And if you've ever had a neighbor like Pam, you know exactly what I mean.